Hello, TBC. Welcome back. This is another guest episode that we've got for you. On this week's, we've got Sam Ford, who is a online personal trainer, goes under the corporation of Metal Muscle, which he'll tell us all about later. Sam's got a pretty interesting story. He was a former drug user, alcoholic, and stuff like that, but he's come through the other side, and we're going to get into Sammy's brain and figure out how we might be able to help any of you guys that were suffering from addiction, drugs, alcohol, anything like that. But yeah, see where it takes us. So welcome to the Trouble Boys Club, Sam. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, you're more than welcome. That was a very interesting conversation pre-record, so I think we're gonna have a lot to go off here. So I thought first maybe you could sort of introduce yourself to the audience and things like that. Tell us what you're about, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I'm sober Sammy, and I'll be coming up to a year sober, or I will be a year sober when this comes out, minus 1 day. So yeah, I started using probably 15 or 16 when I started using, and got to 31 with 2 kids, and just had enough of the same destructive cycles, doing the same thing every day, day in, day out, the same job. And then just decided that I've had enough, I need to change, and I've given it all up, went back to college and got my diploma in personal training, and sort of now just trying to help other people who might be struggling where I was, and help people get fit as well.
Yeah, that's always a bonus, isn't it? So I wanted to ask what life was like in those early years when you're 14, 15, 16. Was it your sort of environment that led you down that path in the first place, or was it more like a peer pressure situation, or use it once, then you were like, fuck, I'm hooked, or what was that like?
As a teenager, I was definitely a handful. Was hard work at school. I didn't want to be doing school or anything. I thought I knew everything when I was a teenager. I was quite angry. I was an angry young man. I felt like, the world had done me an injustice already, and we was out of order. Life was hard, and then alcohol. Well, but more so, I was actually really quite introvert, but I thought that you had to be a big hard man and a scary person to sort of get along in life. And then I've had alcohol and drugs, and then that made me not an introvert, and I could put on this persona that I was a big hard man and go running about with the big boys. And then as soon as I'd done it, then that was it. Loved it, couldn't get enough.
Wow. So it was literally what one and done, and then the rest of it is like a bit of a blur, really. Like when you look back and things. So, but like you say, was it masking your insecurities when you were drinking alcohol?
Absolutely, yeah. I was yeah, like I say, I was actually just a scared little boy, and I used it because I could drink alcohol and have a line, and then give it the big one.
Yeah. And you say you was an angry kid, and you felt like the world owed you a favor. Like, why did you think that?
Me and my mum went through some troubles, and then we ended up homeless. We were in the sheltered accommodation, like shared accommodation with other families. And at that point, I just felt like, that we'd been done wrong. And it was, yeah. So then that just sort of spiraled using.
Wow. I had no idea. That sounds fucking brutal, man. So in a way,
Yeah,
it was an escapism, wasn't it? It was a way to pull wool over your own eyelids.
yeah, yeah. When I say homeless, it was like basically we ran out of money to private rent. So we went from then the private rent to then having to go on the council list. And luckily, we got straight into sheltered accommodation. We didn't actually end up on the street or anything, but it still was like, how come this has happened to us? Do you know what I mean? It felt very unfair.
Yeah, as in you two law-abiding citizens, you're 13, 14, 15. Your mum's
You
got
wouldn't say law abiding, but
to an extent, you're not going around fucking slapping
I
people at work.
worked. I went to work. My mum had worked her whole life. It was more that my mum had worked really hard, and I felt like, how come this has befallen her?
Yeah, yeah, no, I resonate with that quite a lot. Being that angry kid, feeling like the world's done you over. and you can sort of like act out and lash out whenever you see fit because you've got that in the bank. Go, well, that happened to me, so I can, and it's sort of backward mentality, really, isn't it? You figure that out when you get older.
Yeah.
You know that's mad. So you're one and done. It's in your system. Like, what are the next like 5-6 years like of your life?
So then that was literally running around, and I got into football, as in going watching the football. I was a big Chelsea fan with my brother, and then we used to go to football, and there was a load of camaraderie there with all the lads, and beer and gear just went hand in hand with all that. And then just getting into trouble, fighting at football, and then that was like, I was like, oh, hey, look at me. Gave me that sort of sense of belonging that I'd been looking for, I suppose. And then that was just sort of a whirlwind, really, of like a good few years of just sort of go to football and get in a fight. And I didn't even care if I won or lost anyway. You get kicking, remind you that you're alive. And I used to come back and tell everyone, look at me, look what I did. And now actually making me cringe talking about it, to be fair.
No, I can. It's that like lad point system, isn't it? It's similar when you're younger and you sort of like you had sex with like a girl or something. And you're like, yeah, fucking another notch on the belt type thing, and all your mates like, whoa, and like well done, well done. And when you get older, you're like, that's so horrible. Like thinking like that, it's horrible, isn't it? But when you're a teenage lad full of fucking testosterone and that, like, you don't see how it might make the other person feel, do you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Madness. And during all this, did you meet your partner?
No, didn't meet my partner till later on. Till then, everything sort of peaked. I ended up going to court, and I thought I was going to get a sentence. And then I realised in the courtroom in Highbury and Islington magistrates that all these other people that were in there, and I thought, Jesus Christ, look at this lot. Like, if I go to jail, I'm with this lot. And I was like, this is not me. I'm scared, man. I'm proper scared. And then I was just like, what am I doing? I'm putting on this show every weekend. Every night I go out, I put on this show, and I'm so fucking bored of wearing this mask that I'm this hard guy. Doesn't give a shit when I do. Like, oh no, I wouldn't have survived, wouldn't have enjoyed it. Prison would not have been a good time for me. But I did go to prison, and then I just went, well, that's it. I'm not doing this stupid shit anymore. The drink and drugs carried on, but I was then happy-go-lucky Jolly Sam that everybody that loved a good party. And then that went on for a good few years. And then, so I met my missus like still a few years later after that.
A good thing, really, isn't it, in hindsight?
Yeah. Yeah. So, then she met me. She was the landlady of my local pub.
No way. That's
And,
what a story that is. Like you chilling at the end of the bar, like, I'll have another one, please, sugar, or something like that.
Yeah. And they'll be like, fancy a game of pool?
You smooth operator, man. I love that.
Yeah.
So good. So I suppose it's good that like the violence stopped. I'm assuming that's why the court thing was happening.
Yes.
Right, and then you was like, right, fuck this. I'm not a violent person. I'm just putting on a mask, like a lot of people do, and a lot of people fucking never shed them, do they? A lot of people carry on wearing them till they're in the 50s, and then that's it. They're done for.
Yeah, and so many people, and they just get. And I was like, people must think I'm an arsehole, and I'm like, I don't want to be known as an arsehole. Like, I'm actually funny. I've got a good personality. I want to have a joke and a laugh. Like, if I don't say so myself.
Nah, you're a funny man, mate. Don't worry. Do you know during this like phase, did you notice that like your friendship group sort of like decreased?
Yeah, I didn't have any friends from school or anything anymore. It was like that completely changed. Then obviously when I was getting in trouble, that was a different me. It was me and my brother a lot of the time. But then I think he got a more corporate type job and sort of had to start getting himself in line as well. So it sort of just fizzled out for the both of us, and then me just changed over sort of friendship groups to then just people that still like drinking drugs but didn't like getting in trouble. So
yeah, I think you find that as you sort of get older, and then you sort of try and adopt this like growth mentality of just like not doing the same stuff every weekend, and sort of it's quite like a mundane lifestyle, isn't it? Like rinse and repeat, Monday to Friday, you feel like fucking shit, and then soon as Friday night hits, you're a different person till Sunday morning, and then it's rinse and repeat, isn't it?
Yeah, that was it. And it like did that, but then it started sneaking in the odd Monday, Manky Mondays, Tipsy Tuesdays, Wonky Wednesdays. You know what I mean? Like every
Thursdays.
couple of days in the week, and then next week, before I knew it, I was like, wasn't going out anymore. Just coming home, getting my beers on the way home. Literally get up, quarter of a bit of dinner down me, and then straight away upstairs to the toilet, have a bump, and then that was me every night. Like, you know what I mean? It's very quickly goes from being, oh, Sam, he just likes a good party, to then like, I can't go a night without having to have 4 cans of beer, 2 bottles of wine, and fucking half a gram.
Wow. And during this time, are you not sort of like cottoning on that like this is really bad? Like you're just sort of like living it as if it's life. Like brushing your teeth, you're gonna go to the shop, get toothpaste, mouthwash, and four cans of beers, meet your dealer on the way home, and then go home and play Call of Duty. Like and you was like, yeah, this is standard life, this. Is that what goes through your
Yeah,
head?
yeah. For a little while it was, but then like obviously there'd be the times when then you're laying in bed staring at the ceiling, going, "Oh, done it again, haven't I?" And you have like all this guilt and everything that goes through you, the shame, and it's like, I've done it all again. And then you wake up in the morning, or you don't wake up in the morning, you just lay there till your alarm goes off, then get up, slog it through work, and then you go, "Oh, do you know what would make me feel better? One more beer, but I'm not going to touch the gear tonight." And then as soon as you have well, for me, as soon as I then that's first sip of beer, I was like, "Oh, I feel all right now."
Yeah, yeah. When did it get to a point where you realised it was like becoming a proper issue and being like detrimental to your well being and things?
When I was doing a job in Slough, and I was driving home from Slough every day, and I was getting in my car and literally shaking in the car, like straight to the off license, and then my hand shaking and getting that beer down me and going, and I'm like, shit, like this is not good. Of like, you know what I mean? That's when everything sort of just started to add up in my head, and I was like, oh no, this isn't just fun anymore. Like, you've got a serious problem, Sam.
Yes, that was like the sort of penny dropping going, fuck.
Mm,
Like it's I'm actually like fully addicted to
yeah,
doing this and with this substance abuse and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of research into like SUD and addiction and things like that. And have you read Matthew Perry's book by any chance? The
I
Chandler
haven't. No,
mate,
no,
honestly,
but I've heard it's a good read.
it's such a good read just because I think the title of his book is like Love, Friends and That Terrible Thing. And that terrible thing he's referring to is addiction. And
Mm,
there is like a major like genetic component and stuff into addiction and SUD, substance use disorder. I think that's right. And
yeah,
he says in the book that he's in control of the first one, and then after that, the monster like takes over, and then it could
eh,
sort of like never let go until you have that realization, like you did in the car, going, "Fuck, the monster's been in the driving seat for 4, 5 years now."
yeah, yeah. It was driving around the M25, drinking 4 cans of San Miguel on the way home from work, and you're like, done 4 cans of San Miguel before I've even set foot in the door here.
Isn't that mad though? You have to have 4 beers to essentially sober yourself up.
Yeah, and that would be like, then I'll go, if I don't have them, I'm going to be shit when I get in. I'm not going to be able to, like, just, if I have 4 beers and a fucking bump, I'm going to get in. I'm going to cook the kids' dinner. I'm going to do the dishes. I'm going to put shelves up. Do you know what I mean? And then just start doing 28 different things all at once. And then that's what I thought I needed. I was like, I'm a better dad when I do it, because I'll do all the stuff that I'm meant to do.
Yeah, you're like high energy. I bet you're like a male octopus or something like that. And you go around the house and your missus is like, fucking hell, I don't have to tell him to do anything. He's doing the washing, the cleaning, the diapers, and then as soon as they got to bed, are you just like crashing?
Well, no, then it would be like, right, sweet, they're in bed, and then just get on the Xbox or whatever computer, play Xbox till silly o'clock. And that's when I'll get weird, though.
Go on, what weird
Like
shit do you do when you're playing Xbox?
curtain twitching and fucking, do you know what I mean? And then like just like pure anxiety.
Or like peering,
Yeah,
and like someone's gonna get you.
yeah. Headphones on, and then I'd have to have like the headphones half off, and any noise would be like,
Fucking hell, it's so funny. So,
yeah, mate,
okay,
checking the doors are locked and just like backwards and forwards, up and down, just getting just awful, man. Actually, like
and that's the parent. Is
makes
that
me shudder.
what that
Yeah,
is? Like legit paranoia of things, of your environment, and just because of what it's doing to your head.
yeah, yeah. And then just thinking like, I swear to God, my partner better not come downstairs right now because she's going to see my jaw swinging around like this, and like, do you know what I mean? She knew anyway, but I didn't want her to see me like that.
Yeah, and to that extent where she's like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
what is
don't
this?"
mind seeing like the doing the helpful and doing all the good stuff and that. You know what I mean? And like say the positive side of it, it wasn't really, but do you know what I mean? Like, in my head at that time, that was. Um, but yeah, and then actually see like the dirty bottom of it. That it's just yeah,
So it's
didn't want anyone to have to see that.
yeah. So your missus knew, but sort of like didn't know how sort of like how you how in control you weren't.
Hmm. To a degree, I think she knew I was out of control, but
Right.
she is an absolute star, and she just stuck with me until the penny dropped for
Well,
me because she knew she couldn't. You know what I mean? You could like anyone. I think any addict will tell you you can't like no addict can get stopped by someone else. Not until you go, oh dear, I want to change. I need change. I need to do something different. It's not until that happens that you can actually do it.
and what was that like 24 hours like from when you sort of had the realization and stuff to then stopping? Like what's going through your mind on that day?
How do I do that? How the hell am I going to do that? Like, because I see the way that I shake and stuff when I don't. I'd have like 2, 3 days, and then I'll go, oh, well, maybe I don't have that much of a problem because I do 2, 3 days, and then I'll have a day off. But that's only because I felt so sick, and I'd normally spend a whole day in bed or hugging the toilet bowl and like pure like alcohol poisoning, like literally hugging the toilet bowl. Wouldn't drink for like 24 hours, and then that would go away, and then it would just start to come back again. But like instead of rejecting alcohol, it's like I need alcohol. But because I stop for a day, I'd be like, oh well, it's all right, and I didn't actually let myself get to a point where the withdrawals were so bad. So I used to justify it a little bit.
What, and have like sips here and there to sort of ease you into it?
Well, no, just finding any old excuse to start drinking again. Really,
But is that
it's Tuesday or it's Wednesday. Or the football's on tonight at 8 o'clock, so it's 12 o'clock now. So I might just have one can.
your mind's horrible in it when you're in that sort of
Mm,
like addictive stage? Like it'll tell you anything to just go and get whatever it is, the thing, and you'll come
yeah,
up with some logical plan of how you're dead right on, and you're like, yeah, it's 12. The foot is, and you'll convince yourself you're right, like like you're on the right track. It's mad, isn't it?
mm, yeah. So yeah, it's
So as far as like withdrawals go and stuff, can people experience differently, or are they essentially pretty similar throughout when people come off alcohol, or do they differ depending on the person?
I would say that I think they're probably very different for a lot of people. Like for the extremities that it can go to. Obviously, anyone who was dependent on it, I would always advise them to go get help and get off it safely rather than just go, right, I'm going to cold turkey it in my bedroom for a week, you know, because I had to go did a detox week, and it was like an outpatient detox week. So I went to a facility during the day, but then I had like an appointed person who was my partner would drop me off and pick me up. And then we just had benzo actually puts on drugs to get us off it, but benzodiazepines, and you start at a high dose, and then you just drop it down gradually throughout the week. And that first week, that was easy. That was the first week was the easy part. It was then when I came out of it, say I came out of there when I finished the treatment, and then I was at home, and my body had probably say 8 years of like doing the same thing of like this drinking cycle, and it probably was 8 years, of like literally. And I wouldn't eat in the morning. I couldn't eat in the morning because I was felt so sick and ill. And this was like probably get round to about lunchtime, and I might have a Tesco meal deal or something. And then by the time I get hungry again, I'll be finishing work, and then I'd always have a beer before food, like my dinner. And then as soon as I've had a beer, then the monster came out. So then I'll probably, chances of me making dinner every day used to be like slim to none if I'd had a beer. I would rarely yet, barely yet, and I just put all this alcohol through my stomach and my body. And it was then obviously like not just beer, then it was like wine and vodka as well. And it just absolutely obliterated my stomach. And then got to out of the treatment, and then like my body was trying to adapt, then actually eating 3 meals a day and not having all this poison in it all the time. And yeah, my withdrawals were absolutely horrendous. They didn't just stop that week. I spent 3 months, literally I could just wake up in the middle of the night and just throw up. I'd have like the worst runs and that for ages, like ringing up the doctors going like there is something wrong with me, and they're like, no, your body's just getting used to it without the alcohol. And I was like, nah, nobody else is happening. And they're like, no, you've just got to wait it out. And I'm like, no, there's something wrong with me. Like genuinely, I would not accept it because I was that poorly and ill. And then it was like after 3 months, suddenly I was like, I think I feel all right. And it started to get better from there. Like the first 3 months was dark, very dark and hard.
So what was it like that sort of like kept you from not giving up type thing, or was it just a case of like I never want to feel like this again?
Yeah, basically it was that, and I thought, and I've gone through all the all the resources that were made available to me. I felt privileged, that I got to go to that detox center, and like I need to make the most of it. So yeah, this, and all I could keep saying was it will only be temporary, because everyone I spoke to in recovery was like, pays off in the end. It does pay off in the end. And I didn't want to have to then go back through what I'd done. I didn't want to have to restart that clock, and when I say that clock, I didn't want to have to restart the process that I was going through again, because I was like, I can't be doing this ever again. This is like, and that opened my eyes as to how much my body had become dependent and reliant on it. And everyone's like, it takes a week to detox off it. It's like, depends how hard you were going.
Yeah, if it takes you a week, you've clearly not been hitting it hard enough.
Yeah, try harder, mate.
Right, fucking hell. So the 3 months go by, you're, waking up feeling a bit more clear-headed and stuff like that. Do you start the sort of like PT stuff almost instantly? Like, do you quit your job that you had going to Slough back and forth?
Well,
or what was that?
I'd quit that I'd already quit that. And then I was working, just doing local stuff, and I've always just worked in construction, but when I was in Slough, I took more of a supervisory role. I was off the tools, and that was like proper high pressure. And so that obviously spiraled the drinking and that. And then I thought, oh, do you know what? I'll get away from that. I'll do local work all just around me, start at 8 o'clock, finish at 4. Lovely jubbly. That's it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about any work. Once you've finished at 4 o'clock, that's it. Like, whereas before I had like a work phone that would be going off still at 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I did that. And then when it came to my detox, I was like, I'm giving up work. Spoke to Jessie. She was like, look, you need to get better, and we don't want to keep going in the same circles. Like, so I didn't want to go do a detox week and just go straight back into the job, straight back into the whole, you've had a hard day on site, let's go to the pub. Like, I was like, I need time away at least, even just to like reset my whole body. And then obviously I got so poorly, I could never have gone back to work anyway for the first 3 months, because I was literally that ill. So yeah, I'd given that up, and then it was just sort of like, I didn't know really that this 3 months had gone by what the plan was. Still, it was still just get better and be comfortable in my own skin. But I smoked weed as well, so that was like there. So I gave up the alcohol and the coke, and then I was like, well, the weed has been like literally, I would say, got me through that first 3 months, because I was like, sick and ill, but it gave me an appetite at times when I couldn't physically eat, and then I'd have a smoke. So it was, in some ways, it helped, but also the way now I've given it up, I think maybe it did hinder me a bit during that 3 months. But if it kept me off the alcohol and the coke, in my eyes, that was a win. So there was that going on. Lost my. I was going on a ramble there. Lost where I was going.
Carry on, mate.
Yeah, so that was it. So I didn't know what I was doing at 3 months still, but I was still smoking. Started to feel better, like in myself, like actually physically being able to eat. And then I was like, right, I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to go to the gym. I want to start getting massive. So I can eat properly now. So I'm like, right, let's get my nutrition in order, start going to the gym, let's start putting some weight on, because I weighed like 66 kilos.
Small, that, innit? There's just nothing on you, just skin and bones, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And I used to think that I wasn't that skinny, but now I look at photos and I'm like, oh, watch out for the strong winds. But yeah, so then the gym, and I was like, right, sweet. So I went and got my gym membership, started going to the gym, and then I was like, do you know what? I love this. This is really cool. And then meeting people in the gym, and it's like they're all positive. You know what I mean? They want to put good stuff in their body. They want to like just the whole process of, like fueling your body in the right way and doing the exercise. And then you just started putting all these things together. And I was like, I feel well good now. But I'd do that, and then I'd come home and then smoke loads of joints, and then start getting anxious. Didn't want to go out. Get up in the morning, do my gym, and then go, oh, well, that's me done then for the day. And then I'd lay on the sofa for the rest of the day going, oh, I've got anxiety and all that. And then I was having CBT for my anxiety and that. And I was like, this is well hard. And then I started smoking so much. It was literally from the minute I woke up in the morning, I was like, I can't get going without it. So I'd even then smoke a couple of joints and go to the gym. Like, and then I was on a treadmill.
Worse.
I know, mate. And then I was like, I smoked like 3 joints one morning, then went to the gym and ran 7K, and didn't. And it was like, I came back and I'm like, what's going on here? So I knew then that was then really becoming a problem, was hindering me. And I was like, obviously I was having the ideas about becoming a PT. So I'd been looking at PT courses, and then all that was playing on my mind as well. I was like, well, how the hell am I going to do studying? Like, when I've just got to spend a day at home on my laptop and do studying, what am I going to do? I'm going to go in the garden and smoke a joint and then come in and put Netflix on or something. Do you know what I mean? Because that's easier. And then it was like, I've got to get off this. And so I was like, how do I do it? Just going to get rid of it all, just go cold turkey, because everybody was going, you can't be physically dependent on it. So you just got to go cold turkey with it. I was like, I'm physically dependent on it. I was like, I don't care what anyone says. I was physically dependent on it. Like, I couldn't get through the night. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and be anxious, and then have a joint, and then go, oh, right, sweet, I can go back to sleep now. You know what I mean? Wake up in the morning, I can't get going, have a joint. Then get going, do a little bit, then I'd have a joint, then I couldn't do anything. So it was just completely debilitating. I had a good chat then with my dad. I was just like, I feel like more of an addict, like, than when I was drinking and using, because I used to, like, when I was drinking and using, I'd have those high energy moments, like, and I'd be out and about and I'd be social and I'd do things. Whereas when I was smoking, then I like became so unsocial. I didn't want to do anything, basically. You know what I mean? It was like I felt, and I was smoking so much of it and not working. And I don't even know where I found the money to do that, like what I was smoking. And yeah, so I had a good chat with my dad, and I was like, right, I need to, because I tried to just stop it down here, but the withdrawals got so bad after like 5-6 hours. I was straight on the phone, like, I'm not doing this. I can't make myself feel like this. So I was like, spoke to my dad, and I was like, I need to come up to yours, just like lock myself in a room for a week, basically. And he was like, yep, well, it's free to you. Come up here whenever you want. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, so that's it. So I set a day. That was the day I was doing it. And I went up there and just cold turkeyed it, and like spent 5 days up there. And then I was obviously well missing the kids and everything. So I was like, I want to go home, because obviously really emotional as well, because you just all this stuff's coming out of you that, I've been smoking it since the age of 20 years old, and it was like, it just got gradually worse over the years. And then, so yeah, it was all coming out of me. And you're like, I was so emotional about everything. And then, so I need to go home. But I know I'd done like the 5 days, and I was like, I've sweated it out. I've done the worst of it. I can do this. So then I had the confidence. I came back home, and yeah, I didn't touch it again. And I'm going to be 5 months. Actually, do you know what? 5 months in on the 6th of April, I'm going to be 5 months clean of that. So
No way.
that's
Well done you. Did you go up to your
happy
dad
days.
so your kids didn't have to see you in that sort of state?
Yeah, definitely. I think in a way as well, I didn't like, it's scary when you try and do it because then you realize actually how much of a hold it has on you and like how vulnerable you actually are. And like, I didn't want to put Jessie through anything like, well, mate, she would have just got drowned every night in the amount of sweat that came out of me. Like, it didn't sleep for 5 days
Really?
properly at all. Like, yeah, it's just because I'd like literally smoke until I passed out in the evenings. And then, yeah, it was honestly, mate, that first 5 days was just brutal, absolutely brutal every night. Like, and I'll compare it to, Train Spotting, where he like gets locked in a room and he's coming off heroin.
I've never seen Train Spotting. You're gonna fucking hate me. I've never seen. Is it Denzel Washington Train Spotting?
Denzel Washington. No, it's Ewan McGregor. It's the Scottish lads.
What film am I thinking about with Unstoppable? I'm thinking of with the train and Denzel. That's where my confusion lies.
Yeah,
No, is it?
yeah, no, the heroin addicts, and he's locked in a room and he's just sweating, and there's like shit in the bed, and I didn't shit the bed luckily, but it was like everything but like babies crawling across the ceiling, spinning their head around, like doing all proper weird shit, and I was like, mate, honestly, that's the last thing I can compare it to. And I was laying there, and everybody's been telling me this ain't physically dependent. I was like, get fucked.
fucking is.
Yeah, so I did that, did the 5 days, and then it sort of go off a little bit. But I felt sick for 2 weeks. Like, I didn't eat for 2 weeks, and I'd actually managed to put on a bit of weight. I'd made it up to 77 kilos by that point. But then after 2 weeks of giving up smoking, I dropped down to 70 kilos in 2 weeks. So I lost 7 kilos in 2 weeks because I literally didn't eat. All I had was ginger lozenges, just trying to make the nausea go away.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Wow.
was like that was, and that was well hard. And then I was there going, I was like, do you know what? This is even harder than the alcohol. That was even harder than the alcohol, that was.
It was.
And then,
There was.
well, I think I just forgot how hard the alcohol was because I was like, I was sick and ill for 3 months with the alcohol. Do you know what I mean? So it was, but I just didn't expect it to be like that because everybody goes, it's just a harmless plant. Do you know what I mean? Everyone just, oh, you know what? You like a smoke, and it's like, yeah, fair enough, and it does help some people. I won't deny that, but in the capacity that I was using it, no way, it wasn't helping me at all. And then suddenly, like, I had stopped going to therapy because I didn't need the CBT because I was getting CBT for anxiety that I was giving myself because I was smoking so much, and all this anxiety and everything lifted, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, yeah, I'm not, I'm not broken.
It's a nice
Not
revelation.
that you're broken if you've got anxiety. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? But it's
No,
like,
no,
but I still
no.
do I still do suffer with anxiety and sort of social stuff. But now it's in a much more dealable way that it comes, and I can deal with it more logically because I'm not just like stoned or whatever. Like, if I'd feel something, I feel this, I'll have a joint. I feel this, I'll have a joint. Now, like, I've got actual healthy techniques to use when I feel them. Do you know what I mean? Feeling the feelings that I'm feeling. Because don't get me wrong, like, I still got a lot of stuff there, like depression and anxiety, but now it's not this big overwhelming shadow anymore. It still follows me around a little bit, but like, I'm the boss.
Yeah, you're in control of it rather than it controlling you.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a great stage to be at, isn't it? For anything really, not just like drugs and alcohol, but just I think just life. Like once you figure out that like you're in control and like decisions that you make are on you, then it's a nice realization when you eventually get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's mad. So you touched on that your dad was very key in you kicking that last green monster, should we say?
Yeah,
And I know that he recently passed away, didn't he? And I'm yeah, really sorry to hear that about your dad.
yeah,
But it's nice to
yeah.
know that when you needed that support, you needed that room. It was like, come on, like go
That
about
was it.
and sweat the house down.
That was my dad though. Like he was there. Like regardless, even though he knew whatever I've been doing and whatever I've been up to, it was just always no judgment. Come on, son, I'm still here. Do you know what I mean? All the times when I'd be like I'm anxious and he'd ring me, and I wouldn't answer the phone to him because I'm like this and I'm like that, and he's gonna know because he always knew. Like he's gonna know that I'm on something, and then he wouldn't. But then I'd ring him and he'd always answer and be like, "Yeah, son, come on, come over, it's fine."
Yeah,
So it was that
arm round.
reliability.
That's really nice. Really nice that he was that like support, like for you. Always had his arm around you, no matter what stage, no matter how much you sort of. I bet at some points when he was ringing, I bet you was like beating yourself up internally, like why can't I answer the phone to my dad because I'm on something? Was you like internally battering yourself?
Yeah, yeah, massively. And it would be like I just get so annoyed because then that's when I'd start proper having a word with myself as well because it would be like 4:30 in the afternoon as well. And I already can't talk to him because I'm fucking spangled. He'll just know, answer the phone. I'm like, yeah, all right, Dad.
Bloody hell, son, you're having a good day, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. And then if I did answer the phone, he'd always go, have you had a beer, son? And I'd be like, yeah, I have, Dad. But he knew I hadn't just had a beer. Do you know what I mean? He knew I'd had about 10 and a fucking line. And it was like, he knew what was going on, but he never was like, never wanted to go, you're on it, aren't you? Like that. Do you know what I mean? It was just that slight, just letting you know there, son, but you're talking bollocks.
Yeah, a beer was like cold. If you said yeah to it when he asked you, have you had a beer, and you said yeah, he's like, all right, that's probably 10 and maybe 4 lines, maybe half a joint.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He knew I was flying, basically.
Out flying. Well, I think we're getting towards a good length here. I don't even know how long we've been going for, mate. But I asked you before we started if you wouldn't mind like telling like a favourite story or something that sticks out from your dad, which would be a nice little sort of send off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, at his funeral, I actually stood up and did a speech for him, and like, I don't think I would have been able to do that if I was drinking and using. I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it when I was smoking. So if I ever was going to be able to do it, I would have had to have a beer and a lime before it. But the fact that I didn't do that, and I wrote a speech for him, and I stood up and I told the story, and then in that speech I told the story, and that's the story I'll tell you. And it's just basically when I was younger, he'd always pick us up. So my dad lived a bit of a way away, so like my mum would drive halfway, and my dad would drive halfway, or they'd drive the whole way. But basically, spent a lot of time in the car with my dad when I was younger, and he used to do an Indian taxi driver impression, and he would just pretend to be an Indian taxi driver, and he's would made up that he had this dog in the boot called Ram Jam Blow Off, and just like whenever, and then he'd drop his guts basically in the car, and he'd stink it up, and he'd be like, "Oh bloody hell, the Ram Jam Blow Off, mate!" And then so he'd make me think the Ram Jam Blow Off was in the boot, and mate, I fully believed him. I just thought there was this dog in the boot called Ram Jam Blow Off and the Indian taxi driver. But really, it was just my dad's excuse for when he had had a fart that he blamed it on the imaginary dog in the boot. But I think that just sort of like epitomizes my dad of like just driving in the car. He made it fun and he made me laugh my head off all the time.
That's fucking hilarious. What a guy. I mean, what was it like a 3-4 hour drive as well, and that just had you pissing your pants all the way there as a kid? Because as
Yeah,
a kid, like
yeah,
he fucking hero, innit? He could do anything, and you'd still look up at him and smile and laugh at anyway. But that sounds like a lot of fun to be fair.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then there's one other thing as well. It wasn't said by me, but we sort of reached out to people and said, "Have you got any stories, of Nigel that sort of tell a story of his personality?" And somebody wrote into us to say, like, I first met Nigel on a golfing trip out with a business, and he turned up with his golf bag covered in a towel. And then he got to the first hole and he took out a slingshot. And then he got to the second hole and he took out a cricket bat. And then he got to the third hole and he took out a tennis racket, and he had everything but a golf club in his golf bag. And
Just verbal.
that's
Yeah, just a class clown like type like dude.
absolute,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's ace. Yeah, that story, that taxi driver story is fucking. We'll have to post that afterwards because that is fucking hilarious. It's so funny.
Yeah, that was just, I love that.
I bet you did. It fucking stunk as well.
But when I was little as well, I just fully bought into it. I was like, it's a fucking dog in the boot, man.
It just lives there, never leaves.
Yeah,
Ram Jam Blower. That's fucking amazing. If you ever get a dog, you've got to call it that.
I've got three.
You've got three, and none of them are called that.
Nah, none of them are called Ram Jam Blower.
Imagine that in the park, like Ram Jam Blower, come here. People would be like, "What the fuck?"
Like, yeah.
That's class, mate.
Well, maybe
Well,
the next one I'll have to name it Ram Jam Blow Off in honour.
yeah, yeah. Or if one of them has like offspring, you'd be like, "This will be little Ram Jam Blower."
Little Ram Jam.
Yeah. Oh, that's class, mate. Well, Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. Honestly, I've had loads of fun for a fucking Friday night with some herbal tea. Um,
Yeah, man.
yeah, like thanks for your time. You've said a lot of good things there that people will hopefully like take some like tidbits away from and learn just how bad it can actually get and stuff. And hopefully people don't let it get to that stage through your words of wisdom. So yeah, I can't thank you enough, mate.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and yeah, wish you all the very best, mate. Let's stay in touch, and well, I'll get this posted out next week. I might ask you for a picture or something like that, so I can put it on the post, and then we'll
Yeah, no
share it.
worries. Yeah, you'll
Share
need
it
a
out.
new one of me.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'll look all skinny. You need
yeah.
wedge
I
Sammy
need
now.
Mr. Metal Muscle himself. No, top
Nice
man,
one,
mate.
mate.
Take care. I'll see you later.
Cheers, mate.